Hi, this is Max, and welcome to another Stoa. Today, I'd like to talk or send this message to everyone that is in sales, whether you're a rep or BDR, AE, sales director or VP, whatever. I think this message can be interesting to introduce a new perspective on all of the traditional selling stuff that you've been immersed to all your life and what I call now conscious selling. So to give you a little bit of background to bring some legitimacy to this talk, I've been in sales for 18 years before being a coach, from rep to executive and going through even consultancy. And I can reckon for everybody, even myself, that if you don't fall into the sales world, you can choose it, of course, but if you fall into it, or you choose it, you learn the ropes via good mentors or sales directors or owners that are already in their role in the company you're working for, and they coach you, they teach you, they mentor you on what sales is all about. If you're lucky, you're working for a business that is bringing in outside help, source from sales experts or gurus, as they like to call themselves, consultants, and you get to learn new methodology and processes and all that jazz. I know I've been one of them. The thing is, for me anyways now, with my coach add-on and my own inner growth and personal journey and spirituality, I can no longer see sales as something merely traditional and transactional. As I was prepping this chat this morning, I'm working on a course and a conference that I'd like to give around this conscious selling. I wrote to myself, conscious selling is a place where the act of selling is not merely an exchange of product or service for dollars. That's what we've been all taught. For me, conscious selling is a place where you are an act of service for someone in contribution to the whole, whatever that is. Ultimately, you may contribute to the whole world with what you're doing in sales. But acting from that place of service is a much different intention than what we're typically being taught in sales, which is, close that deal, go for the higher ticket sell, upsell, cross-sell, and do all that jazz as long as you match up to your sales goals and targets and we grow and grow. Well, okay, I can understand that there's part of the business that has to do with growth. If we all want to have our bread and butter on the table and continue to be in business, growth is part of it. But how about inner growth? That's maybe the shift I'd like to introduce here. So instead of actually, let me rephrase that. Here's what I used to say to a group of young salesmen and saleswomen that I work with lately in a Toronto startup. Your intention when you get into a sales conversation, or same thing if you're a sales director or a VP and you're coaching, your intention getting to the act of selling or coaching is the foundation. That's the number one funding you got to base your act upon. There's a big difference into getting into an act of selling with the intention of being of service, of helping, of contributing, of trying to figure out how I can solve the problem for X, Y, and Z, help them be a better business or person or whatnot. That's a very pure and good intention, and that's going to bring you elsewhere than the intention of closing the deal, making that commission, cashing on that big project you've been working on, or just, the fun of controlling the conversation, or the fun of influencing someone. There are two very different energies behind those approaches. The first one will bring you much further, in my opinion and from experience, than the latter. So intention, pure intention, good intention, being of service is where conscious selling starts. And then I think we can introduce other words that are very unfamiliar to the sales world, like clear mind, presence, love, kindness, compassion, curiosity, being genuine, loving action. These are unfamiliar and unsaid words in sales, but gosh, that's life right there. Why would it be any different than using them into an interaction with another human being? So I'm very excited about this topic, obviously, because it draws upon what I've done in my entire life, but it touches my passion and my joy, which is coaching and helping transform people and other people, tapping into their inner creator. You have a big force within you. You're a very wise human. You're very wise people that have great gifts. And when you tap into that beautiful greatness that you have, how can anything bad come out of it? Maybe you're not going to close the deal, but heck, you're going to be remembered. You're going to be remembered and respected. That's a good start, isn't it? So let me give you a few change of perspectives here that we can play with, and I'd like to, leave you with. Conscious selling is not about playbooks and tactics and getting more and commission and only growth. For me, it has to do about intention. How about we replace this playbook with intention, tactics with love and care, getting more with giving more, commission with communication. Maybe if you communicate better and more, the commission will follow. And growth, well, how about we change it for inner growth? And the best example I can give you for this is, if you think the tactics and the playbooks that are on page 58, chapter 3, or paragraph 3 of the chapter Objection is going to get you any further, versus, let me check what's happening here. So let's say you're in a sales conversation or a coaching session, and you don't like where this is going. You start to get all tense. Not funny thoughts come up for you. Maybe negative thoughts. Maybe you get a little bit of agitation here, in your belly, or your heart tends to close a little bit. You're losing sight of what's really happening in that conversation at this point. You're all tangled up in your own thoughts and trying to figure out what tactics am I going to use, or what am I going to say, or where have I lost or dropped the ball, and how can I recoup this? Well, but the sheer fact of doing this and getting caught up in all that vicious cycle that's starting here and getting down here, is checking you out completely of the human interaction and the original intention that you had. So instead, if you could remain a little bit more present and be aware of what's going on within, be conscious of that, and choose a more empowering response to whatever's happening, that will get the conversation in a whole different way. And the energy that will be felt and that will transpire out of whatever comes out of your mouth afterwards is much more transformative than if you get caught up in your mind and your heart and you try to many maneuvers or tactics to just convince and influence and close a deal after all. So I hope this brings some perspective on how you can approach selling in a different way, conscious selling as I call it. And I'll invite you to comment and reach out and tell me what you think, because I'm still working on that course and on that conference that I'd like to give around this. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you want to talk about it, or if you want to invite me in your businesses to do any gigs or coaching around this, it'll be my pleasure. Reach out. I'd love to engage with you and take this a little bit further so that we together can transform ourselves and each other and tap into that inner creator that we are. That's how we change the world. So let's do this. Happy selling, happy conscious selling. Cheers.